Lord of the Rings is one of the most beloved masterworks of recent English and arguably European culture. And of course it's beloved because it's an engrossing story in a magical far-off fantasy land, but the reality is much more close to home. Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings searching for an English mythology. That's why the Shire is essentially England. Second to that, he consciously accepted in later life that it was essentially a story of Christian symbolism. That's why the stories hit so deep. They speak to the very heart of Western culture. Now, due to the woke takeover of academia, this fact is absolutely hated by our new academic elites. If you Google it, you'll see them trying to deny it in every which way possible. But if you go back to Tolkien himself, you can clearly see him stating such things. And another reason the trendies absolutely hate Lord of the Rings is because it's popular with the so-called far right. That essentially means people who love their country, don't want mass immigration, and find a deep meaning in the history of our land here. Tolkien's work also adheres to the classic Western Christian moral value structure, which is exactly why Amazon Prime have decided to do a remake of it, complete with woke characters and diversity casting everywhere. In essence, the corrupt Hollywood writers completely ignore the tradition and the roots that Tolkien based Lord of the Rings in to implement them on modern-day woke ideology. Now, they do this for two reasons. One, they just want to push their woke ideology into absolutely everything these days. And secondly, it's because they want to undermine and undercut traditional Western culture. And this is why the Amazon Prime show has nothing to do with Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, or our history at all. The whole show cost $1 billion. And of course it looks great, they have all the fancy CGI and so forth, but just like the modern world, it's glitzy, it's rich, it's materialistic, but it has no soul. This is because, as Tolkien himself once stated, evil is not able to create anything new. It can only distort and destroy what has been invented or made by the forces of good. Because they're totally corrupting Tolkien's original vision and messing apart a beloved story, they can only drum up fake interest by casting black characters in what was supposed to be essentially a medieval England type place. And when inevitably fans say, hang on a minute, what on earth is going on? That's like having a white guy in Wakanda, the liberal media will then talk about a racist backlash and how evil people are, which motivates and engages left-wingers and the left-wing media to celebrate the show as some groundbreaking, brave message about inclusion, when all they're really doing is excluding a key part of Western culture. And this is why when you look at the critics' responses, anybody who's actually true to the vision of Tolkien, who's true to the traditions of the West, will see right through this straight away. But if you adhere to woke ideology, of course you must celebrate it. This is exactly why they try and make the orc characters sympathetic in the latest series. And of course all this is a reworking of the dynamic behind woke culture. If we view something as different, it must innately be good. It's us that's the problem. So as always with Hollywood and the like, this is essentially a humiliation ritual for one of the treasures of the Western world. But I wouldn't lose heart here. As I said in a video earlier, we have the truth on our side, but I also think we have the symbolic and artistic world on our side too. And this is exactly why the leftist liberals call things like Lord of the Rings far right in this day and age. They fear people having an identification with their culture, with their ancestors, with their future. That is not part of the globo-homo liberalist plan, and as much as the critics give all the plaudits to this latest series, they will be forgotten. What won't be forgotten is Tolkien's work, and we should be thankful as well for Peter Jackson's original movies that were created before the woke madness descended on us all. These are just some of my thoughts, however. Do let me know what you think down below, and do consider subscribing to the channel.